Resident Evil is back, continuing on the story of Ethan Winters and his quest to be the most interesting, bland protagonist ever. The 8th installment sees a lot of love and care as Village presents a fundamentally unique, engaging narrative in combination with a fantastic core gameplay loop. It's Resident Evil. Capcom have got this to an art by now. While Biohazard had a more enjoyable setting, tone, and made better use of its environments, Village still shows a fantastic experience with a few twists and turns to keep you on your toes, along with a masterclass of background storytelling. Known figures in the Resident Evil universe make their way into this entry, but the narrative allows for both fans and newcomers alike to enjoy. But that's only the short of it. So, what is Resident Evil Village?
Where's the fun in that? Give them to me, and I'll put on a show that everyone can enjoy.
Heads up, not only minor story beat spoilers for the first couple of hours of the game, but new mic and new editing style, so please bear with me as we continue. For those unfamiliar, Resident Evil is the big forefather of survival horror, where you are trapped in some unknown place with some unknown enemies to unknowingly survive. You scavenge for materials, weapons, items, treasure in order to help you progress with your goal, this time being finding your daughter Rose. Although there is a fair bit to be said about Resident Evil Village, that being that it leans heavily into the survival side of things more than the horror. This game, like its predecessors, is all about inventory and item management, especially on the harder difficulties where every item you pick up is worth its weight in Lee, a currency which allows you to spend with the Duke to restock and upgrade. It's more action-packed than any of the games before it, and while there is plenty of shock horror, there's no psychological stuff here like an RE7. That doesn't make it bad, however. This game is still pretty incredible without it. The story follows you having to confront Mother Miranda and her 4 children/creation things, Dimitrescu, Donna, Maru, and Heisenberg, all residing in their own areas on the map, all with their own unique gimmicks and settings, with the title sake of the village acting as a little hub area, which you progressively unlock more of. The castle is a classic RE7 experience as you open up more areas progressively with items, the madhouse is a classic escape room situation, the reservoir features many action sequences, and the stronghold and factory see the game start throwing everything at you to build up hype for the finale, which it does pretty well. I've been told that this game is similar to Resident Evil 4, but me not having played that myself, I can't confirm that. As you progress, you unlock better weapons, new items, more money to spend, general progression stuff that, if you're willing to backtrack, can feature many rewards. And doing this isn't tedious. Most of this stuff is hidden behind puzzles and items, and while the puzzles aren't crazy hard, they are a nice change of pace in terms of gameplay. And speaking of, gameplay is very polished and has a wonderful loop to it. I believe the hardcore difficulty should be what you play this game initially on, even if you don't normally play the hard setting in games, just because it really exemplifies the primary loop, that being where you scrounge around the environment to find supplies and spend earned currency at the shop to then have everything you need to beat the next boss, to then open up a new area for you to find supplies and spend earned currency, etc, etc. Hardcore just makes it so you're really treasuring every find and you're constantly having to balance in your head what type of ammo you want to use on certain enemies. If I should heal before a boss fight, though I'm only slightly damaged, what tools do I craft for my limited resources? Is this the right time to use one of my magnum rounds? Exploration rewards you and it makes you excited to use whatever you find, with the combat itself being very engaging, encouraging you to take precision and plan during fights. This whole game feeds back into itself no matter what you do. You always feel like you're making progress, all the way up to the end with a suitable, over-the-top, high-stakes finale, and while I'm not the biggest fan of how it all plays out, it didn't ruin the experience for me. I think the most important thing is that there's a ton of variety on offer here in the style of gameplay you're getting. It keeps you on your toes with your first playthrough with its swarms of enemies and then its exploration before giving you some crazy puzzle you're trying to solve on the fly. It's got variety and avoids getting stale. So, is it worth the selling price? $95 is a fair bit of cash for a game that is over within 6 or 7 hours on your first playthrough, and I'm of the opinion that if you aren't a big fan of this series and don't want to invest too much money into a game, play Resident Evil 7 first to just see what it's like. It's $40 and I'll tell you right now it's well worth that price, especially if you're going in blind. Possibly one of the best games of a generation, but I'll let you find that out for yourself. Now, here are just some general tips I can give. Obvious one to start by, but it deserves repeating. Headshots matter a fair bit in this game. You want to be saving as many resources as you can, so try to not use stuff unneededly. On the note of conserving resources, it's always encouraged to put your upgrades into damage first, as you'll end up using less ammo to kill stuff. That being said, you do unlock objectively better versions of the guns you're using. The mid-tier stuff you can find in the environment, and the endgame stuff you can find in the shop. So it's a good idea to save up Lee in the hundreds of thousands and not spend too much money elsewhere. elsewhere. You can also sell your lower tier weapons for a nice sum, but just note that you will sell it for less than its total value. Naturally, however, a New Game Plus mode does exist in this, so it's not too stressful if you miss out. If you're having trouble with a particular boss or enemy, look for their big glowing area somewhere, or otherwise their protruding head. This is 9 times out of 10 their weak spot, and something you should pump as much lead into. Sometimes enemies will be covering this spot with their body, in which case you should just wait until they begin to attack. Don't know where to go? Yellow generally indicates something you can interact, use, or destroy. In searching rooms and houses, your map will change from red to blue when you've discovered everything in the area. Normally, if you're pretty sure you've picked up everything in a room and it's still red, there'll be a sneaky crystal fragment that you have to shoot or something. Don't sell any of the meat products you get from hunting animals. They are super useful with the Duke later on. You unlock the ability to make meals, which gives you permanent increases, and you can always hand in food even if you don't fully meet the requirements for certain dishes, which allows you to free up inventory space. Some treasures you can find can actually be combined, which you can see once you hover over the items. Don't sell these items. They are worth a ton more when combined with their respective set. Some items may take a bit to find their other parts, but generally they are out of their way a bit, so search around and you should find them all. None are particularly too hard to grab, however. Is this game throwing a ton of items, healing, and ingredients your way all of a sudden with save points suspiciously close? You're probably about to head into a boss fight. Ensure you are stocked up on everything before you continue, and even backtrack to the Duke if you must. Space is a big thing in this game, as only one enemy actually has a ranged attack. The rest of them have to be within melee range, so make good use of the push feature after you block an attack. Try to lead enemies around corners and never back yourself into a wall. Enemies shouldn't give you too much trouble if you're following these rules. You can also shoot enemies in the leg to stun them, but I would suggest you just shoot them in the head to kill them quicker. Once you beat the game, you unlock the challenge list. There is a good chance you've done a fair few of these without realizing. They give you the challenge points to spend in the extra content shop, buying concept art, figurines, and more excitingly, new weapons and infinite ammo. Using these doesn't disable achievements or challenges, so use the infinite ammo and an assault rifle for an example to complete some of the harder speedrunning challenges. Resident Evil 8 provides a fantastic experience, and while heading away from the psychological side of things, its incredible gameplay loop and addictive resource management juggle once again proves that Capcom definitely still has it. If you like this video, please consider checking out my other stuff and subscribing if interested. It helps me a lot. Thanks everyone, and have a wonderful day.